Welcome back, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, I'm going to bring you a whiskey I recently got turned on to a few months back, and that is the Bunnahabhain 18-year-olds. It's the new bottle, the 46.3% ABV. So if you guys can pick that up there, 46.3% ABV, just like the new 12-year-old and the 25-year-old. Now, I have had the old version of the 18, which has a different label on it, and it's 43% ABV. Good friend Keith at the Malted Man Cave and I shared a few drams of that one, and he's a huge fan of it. Unfortunately, I was not able to get my hands on the old version, so I'm gonna have to go with this one. I did hear the old one had older whiskeys in it to kind of get the name out there and going again. But I'll tell you what, this Bunnahabhain 18-year-old here is, again, 46.3% ABV. It's natural color and unchill filtered. It's a dark caramel gold. I actually was comparing this 18-year-old kind of side by side with a Macallan 18, 1996 vintage that I have. And the reason why is this Bunnahabhain 18 is exclusively matured in ex-sherry casks. So sherry cask matured and aged 18-year-olds, just like the Macallan or say the Glendronach. But I will say this, even though this color looks pretty rich in gold here on the camera, it is not as dark as a Glendronach or a Macallan 18-year-old. I am thinking about bringing you a comparison of the three though, just to show you the differences, because as far as nose and taste, this really holds up nice to the other two. Anyway, let's focus on the Bunnahabhain. And again, sherry matured only whiskey. I brought you the Bunnahabhain 12. I always say this wrong. Tochich, the smoky version of Bunnahabhain, and of course the 25. So this will be the fourth Bunnahabhain that I brought you. It is a distillery on the island of Islay, with Lagavulin, Lafroig, and all the big peat monsters. But again, this is a non-peated whiskey. And I got to tell you, I really fallen in love with this distillery over the last couple of years. They turn out some really high quality whiskeys. Wasn't really able to get them 5, 6, 7 years ago here locally, but anymore I can pick them up, and I gotta tell you, there are some impressive whiskeys. So I don't know what your feelings are about Bunnahabhain. I don't know if you ever tried a Bunnahabhain. If you haven't, my suggestion would be start out with the 12, reasonably priced, 50, 60 bucks, at least here in the States, and it gives you a good indication of what the 18 and the 25 will be. Anyway, let's get into this 18. Again, natural color, unchill filtered. Right away you smell that sherry. Typical sherried whiskey nose. Not a sherry bomb, mind you. Not a sherry bomb. It is subtle sherry, but rich and deep sherry. Definitely caramel. A little bit of spiciness in the background. The typical figs and dates, dark fruits that you would typically get out of a sherried whiskey. One thing I noticed though, no real ginger on the nose with this Bunnahabhain 18 as compared to say a Macallan 18. Also no cherry like would be in a Glendronach. A very easy to take whiskey, period. And that is probably what I could tell you most about the Bunnahabhain distillery. It doesn't matter if it's the 12, 18, the 25. All of them are rich, but extremely approachable. And so full. Such a rounded, full nose on this 18-year-old. Now, my good friend Keith, the Malted Man Cave, he was a huge fan of the old version of the 18. I only was able to try it once or twice with him, and he was blown away by it. I believe he told me it was in his top 5 whiskeys that he tastes on a regular basis, or that he's bought a bottle of, which is high praised. The guy tries hundreds of whiskeys, and he said this one's still a really good one, but not quite up to the par of the old 18-year-old. So keep that in mind. I can just go off what I have here in front of me for you guys to tell you what I think. And when I think of this one, it's a really good whiskey. I was able to pick this up at BevMax website. I believe they ship out of Connecticut, and I got 2 of them for $95 a piece. And for an 18-year-old sherried whiskey, 95 bucks. I mean, that's a good bargain. So, reasonably priced, good long age statement, sherry matured whiskey, and it's not just a whiskey that is affordable that's 18 years old. This is a well-crafted single malt scotch. I'll give it a sip. That's some smooth sherry. Smooth. I wasn't picking up ginger on the nose, but you're getting it on the palate. You're also getting caramel on the palate, nice light caramel. The figs, the dates come in, a little bit of wood smoke here kind of at the end. Plus it's spicy. There is cinnamon in this. Cinnamon. And just a touch of sulfur. Just a touch. Not in a bad way. Sometimes whiskeys can kind of get over sulfured. There's just a twinge of sulfur in here, which really doesn't put off the experience. It kind of adds a little something to it, in my opinion. Almost like if you've ever tried the old Macallan cast strength, whether they had the age statement 10 years old or not on it. That was that twinge of sulfur to it, especially after you had the bottle open for, I don't know, a week or not with this one. I didn't really pick up that sulfur note at first, but I have it about down to here, halfway. I'm drinking on this bottle for maybe a month. Shared it with a couple of people at Christmas time. They all loved it, but they don't know any better, so they love anything I give to them. They're my in-laws. Of course, they just want to go to the most expensive thing I have. Little do they know, I hide all my really expensive scotch before they come over. And I just put up anything that is 18 years or younger in front of them, and pretty much that's what they grab. But I will say this. The sulfur note is definitely not a turnoff for me on this particular one, but if you're a type of person who, in their sherried whiskeys, if you get a little bit of that sulfur note and it's not for you, know that there is a little bit of that in here. All right, so I threw a little water in it, a little bit of distilled Fiji water in here. See what that's done. It's made it sweeter. The caramel in the nose is definitely more prominent. Also, the spices are coming up more on the nose now. And there is a woody characteristic to it that you really only get if a whiskey is traditionally at least about 20 years old. So this 18-year-old whiskey, usually that wood smoke note that I get on some older whiskeys that I know don't have peat in them. It's rare to see them in an 18-year-old. You know, 21, 25-year-olds expect to see wood smoke in those whiskeys, but 18-year-olds are hit and miss. Usually if it's below 18 years, you don't get much of that wood smoke. So it would be my guess that there is quite a bit of first fill sherry casks in these new Bunnahabhain 18-year-olds. If I had to guess, and why not, I would say it's over 50% first fill sherry. It's my guess. That's what I'm picking up on the nose. You may have a different experience, and if you do, let me know. I tell you what, if you want to spend no more than $100 on a bottle of whiskey, you want a good 18-year-old sherried whiskey, this is the ticket right here. This Bunnahabhain 18 is the ticket for a good, extremely affordable 18-year-old sherry matured single malt Scotch whiskey. From a good distillery. Again, I don't know if I've had a bad Bunnahabhain. I've heard people have mixed reviews about what they used to do in the past, but from what I've been able to taste, out of the 5 Bunnahabhains that I've tried, man, they've all been good whiskeys, extremely good whiskeys, that for the price point that they're in, I'd go back to time and time again. All right, now that we have a little bit of water, had some time to sit in here, take one more sip and see if anything changed. just like the nose, it's spicier on the palate when you add water. Sometimes in the mood for spice, sometimes I'm not. So know that when you go to add the water, the water's gonna cut down on some of the sherry notes and amp up the spice slightly and bring out a little bit more of that ginger. Definitely with water, it's gonna bring out more ginger and more spice. This is still an extremely solid whiskey. Irrelevant of the price, I'm gonna give this one a good solid 91 out of 100. I think that highly of it. So for those of you who don't know which of the old packaging and the new packaging is, the old packaging has probably a sailor that is not quite, the label's not quite as big, and they don't have this blue right here at the bottom. So the other one is, I believe, golds and tans, as opposed to this blue here and just the gold here right in the center where the sailor is. But again, the blue label will give it away. Also, the ABV will give it away. The old bottle things were 43% ABV. These ones are 46.3, just like the 25-year-old. So anyway, there I'm at 91 out of 100. I want to thank you for once again joining for another one of Mike and Billy's whiskey reviews. Bill will be back with me shortly. Until then, you got me, and I wish you happy drinking.